What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here, and we have finally made it to the homeless arc with episode 331, A Bowl of Ramen, man. I've been waiting for this arc to be animated for a long time, and actually, I've decided to do things a bit more differently for this week in particular. I'm not going to talk much about the story aspect of this week's episode because I don't want to cause any unintentional spoilers to be said in this video, because as much as I love this week's part of the story in this week's episode, for me, where this arc truly shines and really becomes one of my favorites is in next week's portion of the episode. So I'm going to refrain from talking as minimal as possible about the story, just going to be talking about what I liked from it and whatnot, but I'm not going to talk about the story that much this week, man. I'll save for my overall thoughts in one long discussion next week, because I feel like I really need to discuss why it is this arc is so awesome sauce to me next week. But so I'm gonna keep it short this week, but I just know that I'm gonna get into way more detail once the arc finishes and I get to talk about the entire arc as a whole. So with that being said, for my manga readers out there, I have a quick announcement real fast for the Gintama manga reactions. I'm going to be doing one long one for the chapters that I've missed. I know that the chapter just came out yesterday, and I've decided that I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna catch up, man. And it's gonna destroy my soul, because every time I catch up to Gintama, I end up with my soul. I end up like, you know, those Kingdom Hearts characters, the Heartless. That's how I end up when I read the Gintama manga. So that's how I'm going to end up once I catch up to this thing again. But it's okay. It's okay, because I need some more Gintama awesome sauce in my life. And right now it's such a great time. We're getting all this news with like the video game, the anime's going in. So I need some manga awesome sauce to get a triple threat of all these great things happening at one time. So yeah, just expect the manga chapter. It's going to be one long reaction. I'm going to do it sometime this week. But guys, without further ado, let's get right into this week's episode, man. Once again, I'm going to try to keep it as minimal as possible. I don't want to talk much about the story because I don't want to unintentionally spoil someone. So this week's chapter covers lesson 431, which is a bowl of ramen, and then 10 pages. Only 10 pages. And honestly, it's only the first 2 panels of page 10. So it covers, in chapter 432, it covers the first 10 pages, but it's honestly only the first 2 panels. So next week is going to cover the second half of this arc. And guys, man, right off the bat, the very first thing that comes into mind from this week's episode is I love the way that BNP handles flashbacks. And I know that I continue to say this, but I feel like it's a point that needs to be said, and needs to continue to be said, because these guys deserve to be praised for the great work that they do. And when they do flashbacks, man, going all the way back to how much I praised them for how wonderful the flashbacks were in the Shinigami arc. In that arc, the flashbacks and the way that the color palette was, it was sick. It was awesome. And then whenever they hit us with the flashbacks in Farewell Shinsengumi and in Shogun Assassination, I mean, glorious stuff. Same thing with one of the most well animated episodes from a visual standpoint in the final episode of last season, where it was covering Shoyo's flashback. Really, they always handle flashbacks really well. And this week, whenever we got the flashback with Ikumatsu's flashback, man, which I guarantee you, for a lot of you anime onlys, you didn't expect to see Ikumatsu's flashback, especially when we haven't seen her in legit 10 years in anime manga time. It's been a long time since Ikumatsu was shown again. It's incredible. It's incredible how Srirachi lays the foundation for these characters early on, comes back randomly, and makes us care for this character like that once again. Just like that. And the beautiful thing about it is the way that this episode starts. This episode starts off not with Gin, not with Zura. It doesn't start off like that, like any of that. It starts off straight from Ikumatsu's standpoint, and straight up from the flash. It starts in a flashback, narrated by her, and then after that, you get into the episode, and then later on, of course, we get to hear more about Ikumatsu through her flashback, which is something that whenever I read it in the manga, I was so shocked about, because I did not expect it. Seeing Ikumatsu having this ramen shop, you're just sitting here like, what? She's the daughter of someone like that? Like, there's no way. And at first, like, the build up, you're like, nah, there's something that's not clicking here, man. And whenever she shows up delivering the ramen, you're like, yo. And that's whenever, like, you get hit with that first twist, man. You're kind of shook. So at least I was shook. I know I was shook, man. But I love the way the chapter started off, man. There's another chapter that I forgot what the chapter number is, and I can't see the episode off the top of my head. But there's another chapter that starts off in not in a similar fashion, but it starts off the way that it's structured is kind of like how the way this chapter starts off, an AKA episode. And the way that they have like that grain effect in the anime, the way that BNP they animates like the grain effect that gives it, this is something that right off the bat you know that it's a flashback because of the grain effect, and because it has like the sepia type of filter where the color is not really the same as it would be like in a regular episode. I appreciate stuff like that, man. I appreciate it because it doesn't have the black borders. It doesn't have the way that Gintama usually does it is whenever they give us a flashback, or the way they did it during Shogun Assassination and whatnot, or Obro's flashback as well, is that it makes it look a movie. It has the black borders on top and has that in the middle, and that just you could tell right off the bat that's a flashback. But in this case, with the grain look and the way that it has like the yellowish, that color by itself, indicates in my mind it's vintage. This is something that happened in the past. So I love the way the episode starts. I love the way this arc starts because it just automatically sets up what this arc is about, just like that. And then everything else is just, it's just gonna come off from that. But going back into Ikematsu's story, without getting into too much detail, I want to talk about one particular thing that she states, man. One particular thing that she states, because to me, this is, when I read this part, wow, man. It's some powerful stuff. It's some powerful stuff because this is an essence of what makes Gintama and why, this series changed the way that I view a lot of things, man. So I absolutely love how, and I have the panel right here. I don't have the episode thing, but where she states, and this is from the manga. It's from the manga. In the end, humans might be all right, just giving it all they've got to live for today. As soon as he became wealthy, he saw something unnecessary. I feel like in the early days we saw quite a lot more, and they were the important things. And to me, man, that is incredible, bro. Like that right there is the essence of what Gintama is, man. And why this series is so GOAT to me, bro. Gotta read it one more time, man. In the end, humans might be alright just giving it all they've got to live for today. 24 hours in front of me. As soon as he became wealthy, he saw something unnecessary. Something unnecessary. I feel like in the earlier days we saw quite a lot more, what was more important to us, and they were the more important things. Basically indicating that whenever they were poor and they didn't have much, they focused on what was important. But the moment that he got money, he started seeing a whole bunch of different things that weren't there before, that weren't important to him. Like she said, saw something unnecessary, all these unnecessary things and distractions and whatnot, just all from just having money. And I remember Great Teacher Onizuka, the very first episode started off with a plot like this. Not the same plot, but with the foundation is the same. Where the family isn't as close as they used to be because the man in the family got wealthy. That's the best way to put it. The man in the family got wealthy, and then the family split apart after that. But when before they were much closer, they would have their dinners. She would come over from school and talk about what she wanted to do and whatnot. So I love that this part reminds me so much of the first episode of GTO, because GTO is awesome sauce. And if you haven't watched Great Teacher Onizuka, man, I highly recommend it. But this part to me, man, it means so much, because whenever you look at Gintoki and you look at the Yorozuya, that's like the representation of the statement. They don't have money, man. These guys, they don't even pay the rent. Gin does not even pay the rent, man. But they are so happy, which is why when Ikematsu, at the beginning of this episode, looks at Gin, looks at Kagura, and looks at Shupachi, even though they're all together, because they can only pay for one bowl. They come together and they are all just eating off the same bowl, man. They're fighting each other and everything. She sees a lot of that in herself, and that's what she strived for. That's what she wanted. And that to me is powerful stuff, man. It really is. And it makes me just look back and reminds me why I love the Yorozuya so much, man, because they show you that money is nothing, man. It's just paper, bro. You have to establish those relationships, man. Those relationships are truly what matters, man. That relationship with those that you care about is truly what matters. And like this right here, Ikematsu's statement, that's Gintama right there, man. That is what Gintama taught me. You know, the value of family, the value of having those loved ones around you. And I love that part of the chapter, man. It's absolute greatness. And dude, but I absolutely love that statement, man. Going into a couple other things that I found absolutely hilarious, man. Lord, the way that I don't know if this is the way the fan subs have it, right? But at Crunchyroll they had it as Lord. The Lord, baby. Oh man, dude, that. I'll take Gawa with that thing, man. Listen, bro. Madao and anything, it's already a 10 out of 10 episode / chapter, yo. I don't care, man. I don't care, dude. When he was whispering... no, bro. See, that was funny. But I completely forgot about whenever the other dude shows up. You know, the one that Ikematsu's husband's brother. Whenever he shows up and starts threatening Katsura. and then they start whispering in each other's ear. Nah, man, I was dead, bro. I was dead because I completely forgot about that, man. I completely forgot about that. And I'm loving the comedy. Like, I'm trying not to say too much because like my mind has like the manga in one end, the anime in the other, and I'm trying to equal it out. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to unintentionally spoil, man. But what I will say is that next week we will get more into the arc itself and the story itself. This week's episode was absolutely a great start. Great start. They were faithful to the manga, you know, panel for panel. It looks glorious, looks fantastic. I'm loving the adaptation thus far. Absolutely loving the adaptation thus far, man. And like I said, it's incredible to me how they managed to make Ikumatsu and her story with Katsura from all the way back then. And, you know, that was episode 37, man. Episode 37, and now it's taking place in episode 331, and with the foundation laid in this episode, it's as if it just happened last episode. It's incredible how Sorachi writes these characters, man. I like, it's something that it puts me in awe. It puts me in awe, man. How much you grow to care for, and again, like out of nowhere in like half an episode, you know, and it's crazy. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode, man. I'm gonna go ahead and end here next week for the whole, whenever the whole arc finishes. I'm gonna get into some details. I'm gonna get into some hard details, man, that I absolutely love about this arc. But let me know what you guys think about this arc, man. Have an awesome day. The homeless arc greatness, man. I can't believe that I'm doing an anime video on the GOAT. I love this arc so much, man. And you know, like I said, even though this week's covered some stuff that I really like, man, next week it's gonna be glorious, you know, like Bobby Roode, man, glorious. But I can't wait, man. You guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, one more thing before I end the video. You guys can't tell me, man, that Zura and Gin, because Gin is trying to like pull Zura into saying something, and he's like, yeah, man, you want to plow her? Then later on in the episode, he was like, yeah, you want to plunge into her, and then he gets her at. Like, those things are just absolutely hilarious to me, man. I got screenshots of them, so I'm gonna post them on Twitter right now. But Zura and Gin, man, they're just, whenever they're together, it's comedy gold. It's comedy gold. But you guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy this arc is getting animated, man. This was a great start to the episode, and next week we'll dive into more details for the story. For the story portion of this arc and why I love this arc so much. We'll get into that next week, guys. Have an awesome day. Gintama awesome sauce. We're gonna have a great week this week, man. We're in a great week. I can't wait to catch up to the manga.